welcome back to the Patient Magnet Podcast. My name is Jared Rohr, the CEO of Aesthetic Conversion, a web agency that focuses on getting you ranking on the first page of Google, as well as getting you super high conversion rates for your website so that those eyeballs actually turn into leads. And we have been talking about your digital sales funnel. How do you drive attention to your business? Then how do you turn that attention into a lead? Then how do you take that lead and convert it into your sales pipeline? And once you've treated them, how do you re-engage with that person over and over and over for years to come? And today I'm joined by Laura Crowley, an incredible consultant, as well as a practice owner within our industry. She owns Laura Jeannette Co. It's a consulting firm for medical aesthetics focused on supercharging your sales processes and ensuring that if you are making the marketing effort, getting all that attention to your business and getting those leads, that you're converting it properly and that you have systems in place for your company to actually take advantage of the momentum that you're generating through marketing. Did I get that right, Laura?
Yes.
Is that close?
Yes. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me.
Of course. Now tell us a little bit about you and tell us about, I love the fact that you own a clinic and you're a consultant. I think I have always thought of the same thing where I'm like, oh, it'd be cool to own something to proof of concept things within our business. And aesthetic clinics are a good business to be in. I wouldn't mind owning one.
Yeah, I think you have to practice what you preach. I was just like, I am a consultant. I love business. I love talking about business and personal brands and sales funnels and all that. But I needed to practice what I preach and do it myself. So
Yes.
I always loved the aesthetic side. I've been an esthetician for 20 years. I was in a big, huge company and grew from like the bottom to the top. And I just thought about what was next and how can I help people? How can I add some multiple streams of income? And how I could really look into these practices and help them with their sales and their sales funnels. But I love retail. I love services. I love skincare. I love it all. And then I was noticing that some of these doctors didn't really know how to show up on camera or didn't know how to show up for their personal brand or didn't know about, sales or treatment plans of like the all-encompassing kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not just Botox and fillers. Like they didn't know to add like a laser or to add a skin a microneedling or retail in like these huge treatment plans. So I thought, how can I train them to really everybody in the practice really grow the practice together?
Yeah, that's huge. And also, again, very cool that it's like a practice what you preach thing and you're just you're doing it for yourself on top of that. Now, when it comes to that personal branding side, I know that the majority of this conversation, we're going to talk a lot about strategies for profitability and the do's and don'ts of what they should do. But I'm just curious about a little bit of your philosophy on that personal branding side of things, because it's something I'm transparently going through myself. I have such, so maybe you give me a little insight here, because I have great exposure in the industry. I get to speak at a lot of shows. I get to do guest spots on podcasts. We've got our own show. We've got our own podcast. I've got exposure, but my personal brand does not reflect that. Like I don't have this like big following and have this ability to influence the masses. And I feel like I've got a lot of the ingredients, but I haven't actually made the cake, kind of a thing. What do you think?
Oh, I feel like you do. I feel like part of your personal brand is networking. I mean, you and I just met through, networking and through asking what you want or where you were trying to go, where I'm trying to go, like what my next steps are. And I think that's networking. I think that's getting on LinkedIn. I think it's asking for what you want. I think it's networking at shows. I love shows. I love speaking. You love speaking.
Yeah.
But I hardly had any followers when I had my first big, huge contract. I think I had maybe 200 to 300 followers on my new consultant Instagram. So I feel like followers, obviously, this don't equal profit.
No.
But I feel like separating yourself into that personal brand, again, I think people don't buy from a logo necessarily all the time. People buy from people. And I wanted to be real and show up as Laura too, and separate myself from as Laura, as as yes, a business owner, as multiple business owner, but also as a mom and as a person too, and a nice human.
Yeah, well, of course, yeah, and and you are a very nice human. So, what are some quick wins that that usually you see are like layups for people? Like, man, if you just do this, it's going to dramatically improve your ability to manage your own personal brand.
I mean, I am such an advocate of like photos and a good photo
Yeah,
shoot. Like it's such a I think I did two or three, like you just commented on my website. Man, you have to hire out. You have to, you have to know what you're good at and
yeah,
again, hire the experts of what they're good at. And
yeah.
I hired stylists, I hired professional photography, like videography, I hired a professional website like
Mhm.
yourself and to create that and curate that. I think that's super important when you're putting your brand out there. But as we talked
Yeah,
about, it's not all about just a logo, as we
no.
say, but you want your that your personality. I really wanted my personality to like reflect that too.
I see that in all of your imagery as well. I see that, and then there is no jarring experience of like seeing the site and then meeting you in person and connecting with you in person. It's very much like
Thank you.
cohesive. And yeah, and people when they do personal branding shoots, they should only do it like once every 10 years, right?
Oh my gosh, I think
No,
I just had this conversation with somebody who even about their business brand shoot. Like they don't like to do it or be in front of camera. And I'm like
it's crazy.
this is especially as an owner, don't you think now as owners now that besides injecting or doing lasers or practicing, they should be in front of the camera all the time.
Absolutely.
Like all the time.
How
Yeah.
often would you if you had your way, how often would they do like a full practice photo shoot in the clinic?
Oh
Just to get
gosh,
like good clinic, good photography for the next series of
I
time.
mean, if they could do it once a quarter,
That's
if
what I
they
say as well.
if they
I'm a
could,
quarterly advocate.
yeah, because again, like now everybody's getting ready for Christmas. Like, I mean, it's now it's due time. Like you should already like I'm already thinking of, ornaments and photo shoots
Yeah.
and red lipstick and
Hmm.
like
Yeah.
presents and all that stuff. I'm all thinking of those branding elements for Black
Yeah.
Friday and things like that,
Yeah. I'm right with you
always
on
like
that.
always like usually like 6 months ahead, but I feel like if they could do like once a quarter, that would be amazing. Or
I
again,
personally try
it
to do
doesn't,
a quarterly one.
yeah.
It doesn't want, sorry. It doesn't have to be crazy, right?
No, I think they think it needs to be like $5,000 every single time. It
Right.
doesn't have to be that every single time.
No, and I mean, and like, I mean, this is a me thing, so it's gonna be different for other people. Like, if you're paying talent to come in, you're gonna pay for that. But like for me, I do a quarterly shoot, and myself and my friends are photographers, so we'll
Mhm.
shoot content for each
Mhm.
other, and maybe this is the case for some clinics that are watching. I think I pay maybe $250 a quarter in studio rentals to
Mhm.
just get the space. I'm paying for like 2 to 3 hours of a really nice studio in town to get all of my content shot, and then I use it for the next quarter. Like $250,
Yeah.
and then maybe you're paying, and maybe you are paying a shooter, so maybe you do pay them $800 to $1,200 for the shoot or something, or more. But I mean, what's that worth, for your brand presence?
Yeah, like for example, like I just actually did one yesterday. And I really did. And I got my hair and makeup done and I looked at a couple dresses. I actually didn't really get a crazy wardrobe. I had some dresses that were older that I was like, this is gonna all work. And again, we just came off of 4th of July, so I was busy. I didn't exactly have like tons of time. And then my photographer friend. And that was
Yeah.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
And there could even be worlds where you do trades with these people too, especially like
Hmm.
a lot of these, yeah, where it's like, hey, we'd love to give you a facial or love to give you whatever, some sort of a service where it makes it a little more affordable on your side as well.
Oh my God, I'm
Um,
sure the photographers would love
You
that.
kidding me? We had a photographer on our team one time, and that's how she would wheel and deal to our clients, where she would ask, because we don't offer photography services, and so she'd be like, hey, if I shoot for any of our clients, like personally, like do I have to run that through you guys? I was like, no, you don't. Like you're welcome to it, just whenever, whatever, and she would trade with them.
Well, I
And they
mean,
would do
yeah.
talks or filler or facials or whatever for her.
Well, I mean, that's what I did. Transparently, that's what I did. I trade. And because my photographer her name is Mariah, and she's so amazing.
Hmm.
And she is really so worth the money. But we trade, and she's taken care of, pictures of my kids all the way up to now my whole
Yeah,
website, my branding,
that's
everything. She
awesome.
just takes good care of me. But
Yeah,
yeah, I mean,
that's awesome.
trading, if you could do that all the time and actually though schedule it on your calendar for doing that like once a
Yeah.
month, oh my God, or
And
once a
if you're
quarter, that's
That's what I was gonna say.
huge.
And if you're younger in business, that's giant. You can find somebody locally who like you could do a trade with, where it could make it very affordable for you and get super high quality and caliber content. Um, all right, so we've talked about the personal branding side, which I'm fascinated. Thank you for that. Let's talk a little bit more about the actual strategy side, which I think is where you really, really shine. And so let's talk maybe just a little bit about maybe the theme today will be the do's and don'ts of running a profitable med spa. When it comes to having a profitable strategy for your business, what are some of those do's? What are some of those things that you say, make sure you've got this, make sure you've got this, and make sure you've got this?
I think do is really focus on your menu of your services. I see so
Okay.
many people have like a Cheesecake Factory menu of like a million
Mm,
things. And first of all,
yeah.
do you even like doing those services?
Yeah.
Are you really good at those services? Like, do you need more training of those services? I do believe like about niching down and finding
Hmm.
where you're good at, and then focus on each of those services, focus on that client experience from top to bottom, that
Yeah.
client experience from, them checking in to the actual like taking before and afters to, the actual service to the actual follow-ups. I think like so many people miss those like touch points. There's so
Yeah.
many touch points for that client and that kind of experience, even after they left. Like as we were
Yeah.
just talking like earlier, I love like pre-care
Hmm.
when before they even get into your clinic, and then I love post-care
Mm,
afterwards.
that's
I
huge.
think I think it's such missing for people. People just do a service and I was just like, bye. And then,
Yeah.
or like, for example, even Botox, they're just like, okay, bye. I'll see you in 3 months. It's like, well, there's so many other opportunities for you to,
Yeah.
help them with their skin, their retail, their, a laser, microneedling, again, a facial, like so many other, or introducing them to other services. I can't tell you, even in my own clinic, sometimes like they don't know that you do something. And I'm like, oh
Hmm.
my gosh, I guess I didn't tell that client that, yeah, actually I do X, Y, and Z. So
Yeah.
when's the last time, you did a tour of your whole place and say, did you know that we have this laser? Did you know we have this service?
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah, and
yeah.
oftentimes there's insecurity projected from the staff
Hmm.
or the
Hmm.
injector, where and the phrase that I always stick in my head is like your client's bank account is not yours, and
Oh my
oftentimes
God.
they'll think, especially if it's a younger business, they'll think, oh my gosh, this person's paying $1,200 for some filler, like I can't charge them more, like that's crazy, like and because what they're doing, they're projecting their current situation on that person when that person owns $1 billion company, and it's like they're okay. Like if they need best outcomes, they don't need you to keep their purse strings tight. They need you to give them best outcomes, and we'll project our own financial situations on those
Yeah.
clients.
I think you just nailed it. And I can go off on a tangent with that. I think we put it out. What did somebody say one time? You put yourself in their pocketbook. I don't know what they
Hmm.
have in their pocketbook, and they don't know what I have in my pocketbook. Like, for
No.
example, yes, I love clothes, but I am not going to go probably drop today $5,000 on clothes. But if
Mm.
somebody maybe said, "Oh, we can maybe fix your neck skin," I would totally drop $5,000
I
on
have a
that.
five. So if you're listening right now and you're a plastic surgeon that can fix Laura's
Right?
neck skin, DM
Right?
us. Yeah, DM us right
Right?
away.
Like you're gonna, or invest, or vacations or things like that. People invest into what they want to invest in,
Yeah, that's
and
true.
people will come up with the money. For example, like I love a business coach, I love a
Yeah.
mastermind, I love investing in my
Hmm.
business. But am I tomorrow gonna go invest in like a new 5,000, 8,000, $10,000 Prada bag? Probably not. I'd rather put
Yeah.
it into some stocks, into business coaching.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
I feel like you can't people are very surprised when I say I'm like, they're like, we can't charge that. I'm like, well, yeah, you can,
Yeah, you
especially
can.
if you solve their problem.
Yeah.
If you achieve that the outcome that they came
Yeah.
in for, you solve the problem. I will pay all day for that. And especially if you say like you divide it up into a payment plan. Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
all day.
We get that all the time from Maven. I think Maven all the time, Maven Financial helps us with our CFO, our
Yeah.
fractional CFO work for our business. And constantly they're like, you have to raise your prices. You have to raise your prices. And for me, I'm like, oh yeah, but I just want to be accessible to even the brand newest business owner. They're like, these prices are accessible to the brand. You're good. You could still raise. But I always get the fear of like, oh my gosh, like I want to make sure that I can help everybody. So for me, it's less of me projecting my finances on them and more of me not wanting to lose accessibility to like even the brand newest business owner. So
Yes.
I can understand all sides of being afraid of charging more. Tell us a little bit more about niching down.
I think you need to look on like the high like ROI services again, and like the services that like that you really like doing. I just hate to see
Yeah.
these just because somebody like down the street has a laser, that doesn't mean you need to. And
Hmm.
what can you do in that hour to, really maximize your, your wallet and then maximize theirs and maximize
Yeah.
that best outcome for them.
Hmm. So what are some ways that clinics could niche? They just find the most profitable service and say, we're going to be known as that person from here on in, or what?
No, what interests them? Like, is it
Mm.
skincare? Is it injectables? Is it Botox?
Mm.
Is it all of the above? Is it retail? Like, so
Yeah.
many people sleep on retail. I'm like, you guys, I have like six or seven now lines that I carry.
Yeah.
I think like it's you, and then maybe bundle that into a treatment plan, and I guess, and then again, you're getting that best outcome for them if
That's
they're doing retail at home and the services.
That's huge because I think when I think of niching as a clinic, I think of, oh, you want to be the lip filler person in your city, or you want to be just the tox person in your city, but you could just be the injectables person for your city. You could be the retail person, like where everybody knows, oh, that's where you go. There's a great example of this in Tampa, Bevel Up, Rashay Doyle's business. Their whole tagline is the place for the face, and their whole business philosophy is we handle anything that could be related to your face. We're not doing tons of anything below the neck, but anything related to your face, we're going to make it work, which I think
Yeah.
is brilliant branding, brilliant niching.
I've always been a big fan of retail products. So I feel like I'm known in the area more as like that retail like regimen. Like I
Mm,
love creating and curating that routine for them, changing things out, following up. If somebody does like something better or we just swap it out, love that. For example, for the longest time I had one treatment on my menu and it was just, and then now I have two. But like
of course,
I have
you've doubled.
one, yeah, I have one treatment because I don't know what their skin is going to be. So like
Mm,
they come in, and again, I don't want that Cheesecake Factory menu. They don't know what they want. They don't know what they need. I'm the one that's gonna, you know, really, look at their skin, and I'm going to decide for them what they need. So I
mm.
think you need to put it back into the expert's hands and come up with a treatment plan together.
That is so cool. What are some other do's for a clinic? What are some other things that it's like, oh my gosh, make sure that you are what?
Priced appropriately and
Okay.
stop discounting and stop devaluing yourself. I see so many
Yeah.
people like they get so scared of because the books aren't full and they start heavily discounting, and then
Yeah. Oh yeah.
they're known as that heavily discounted place that
Dollar, dollar store.
yeah, and
Yeah.
you don't you and then then the person down the street is has no problem selling $8,000 packages. You wonder
Yeah.
why you can't because your Botox is, under $10 a unit or something,
I know. Yeah, your margins are so thin at that point that it's like we can
Yeah.
barely do anything to stay alive.
Yeah.
Now, do you say zero discounts whatsoever, or do you have like parameters around when somebody could ever get a discount when being in a business?
I like to do it again, what we talked about before. I like to do it like in a plan, like in a treatment
Hmm.
plan. So not
Yeah.
like heavily being like, oh, it's just 20% off today. Like that's just boring. And
Yeah.
that's just like everybody else. Like do it like in a plan with like combination of like, modalities and then
Mhm.
combination with retail. I think that's huge. And then again, your goal again at the end of the day is to get that best outcome. If you know that that's going to take this 6 months or this 4 months, divide it up, or lock all this in together, and if they are compliant, it's going to work, and then they're going to refer 10 friends, and that's how it
And then
happens.
it grows from there. So yeah,
Yeah.
and I totally agree. I always say that discounts should satisfy one of three things. They should either reward, because what behavior that's rewarded is repeated. So they should reward
Hmm.
either people trying things for the first time, people buying in bulk or doing packages,
Hmm.
or maybe like being a member. And it's like, great, you want to reward those
Hmm.
behaviors and have them redo it over and over again? Great. They're going to add new verticals to service. They're going to be buying in bulk or buying packages, or they're going to sign up for membership. Cool. But
Or
saying,
yeah.
June is the month of 20% off lips is like, no, then they're just going to wait till June every year to get their lips.
Well, I just think that's very generic. I think that's very
Hmm.
boring. That's not very unique, too.
Yeah,
Like all
I
these
agree.
people complain that oh my gosh, there's med spas popping up everywhere and da da da. And I was like, all right, like, yeah, it's gonna happen. I mean, back in the day, right? There was a hairstylist on every corner. It's the same
Hmm.
thing.
Yeah.
Like, what makes you unique, though? You have to like and really think about what you want to be known for and that quality of service that you want to be known for. And
Hmm.
again, do you want to be known for can you actually get that best outcome possible? If you have such happy clients, gosh, people are going to refer you all day, and that's what happens.
Yeah, I totally agree. Now, when it comes to sales, what's the biggest do that somebody could implement this week for sales if they're like, oh my gosh, if they just add this little step into their sales process or if they do this, they're going to see something move in the right direction. Doesn't have to be,
Uh,
you know, be millionaires afterwards, but
Gosh, there's so many. I mean, tracking it for one, you'd be
there we
surprised.
go. That's it. That's the answer I was hoping for. Just tracking your dang numbers.
I just think you'd be so surprised. I'm like, oh my gosh, how many people it, track it. I mean, if you could track it every day, that would be amazing. But
Yeah.
once a week, obviously once a month, like data is so important. And if you look at your data of what is working and what is not, what retail products are working, what retail products are not, what services are working, what services are not. Like this went really well. I mean, and content and social media, I mean, everything, all data, all tracking. You have to know what's working and what's not. So if a sales, if something is or again, and that tells you a lot about, the providers, the front desk, your sales stuff. But yeah, I love tracking, love data. I mean,
That's huge.
I love, again, I'm a big advocate of staying in my lane and hiring out. So I love a good bookkeeper,
Yeah.
a tax consultant. You just mentioned the CFO. Like my bookkeeper is my fractional CFO too, and
Hmm.
I just had a meeting with her this morning. She tells me where I need to be.
Yeah, I'm right with you on that, by the way. I think that it's great. If somebody wants to hire a full-time bookkeeper in-house, I can understand it. I just don't know if it's necessary. I think that especially if you work with a bookkeeper that only does aesthetic medicine all day, every day, that's what they eat, sleep, and breathe, then I think you can get a fractional bookkeeper and a fractional CFO, and then you can get way more power out of that relationship so that you can go off and do more, and you're not paying this giant salary to this person when they're not being totally utilized.
I love fractional everything, fractional
Yeah.
CMOs. I love fractional CFOs, fractional consultants. I think it's huge.
Yeah, I'm huge on that as well. All right, we've talked about some of these do's. What are some of the don'ts that it's like, oh my gosh, stop doing this, guys?
I mean, the number one is um, the number one is obviously you need to talk to all these financial people, and don't buy these machines before you're ready.
Thank
Um,
you very much. Stop being
just
duped into buying devices.
I think devices are amazing, but usually these people can't afford it, and these loan payments are just so expensive a month
Yeah.
when you have all in your and especially usually they're like a new business, or some of the owners aren't even practitioners. They have no idea even about like
No.
aesthetics, um and that's just a good way to get sued too, is like I remember I one who was so ready and so wanted to jump in and, start launching this new device. And I'm like, you're gonna get sued. The
Yeah.
staff needs training and needs time and things like that. So there's so many bad things that can happen. But
Yeah.
yeah.
I think those and a device is never going to save your business, guys. A device will
No.
not save your business. If you are struggling so much that you think you need to drop 200 grand on some magic laser that's going to save your business, there's better things that you could do with that money that would make you way more money in the end. The company I love more than anybody, just because of their sales practices, is Sciton. I can't tell
Yeah.
you how often I hear about Sciton reps saying this laser does not make sense in your business. You can't sustain this thing. Sciton does have like programs where I think like you can get some, you qualify for some Google ad spend by buying the device, and like there's some marketing resources they give you, but their reps, if they don't think you can afford this thing, like they don't think you can sustain having this, they won't sell it to you. I've had so many referrals from Sciton reps that will say, hey, this person is not in a place to buy a device. But if they worked with you on marketing to build their business, I bet in a year I could call back on them and it could be a much better fit. Um,
I
and
love their
they always sell
conferences
them in the
too.
end. Oh,
Yeah.
you've been to their show, their conference?
Yeah. That's very happy conference. It's really fun.
Oh, I didn't.
Yeah.
I want to go to Saiton. If you're listening, I want to go to your conference. Where you at?
Yeah.
Corey, my Saiton rep, Breton. I want to talk to you guys. I want to go to your show.
It's very engaging. It's very fun. I had a great time.
So don't buy a device. I also know that you have another soapbox that you like to get on as far as communication management internally.
Yeah, again, I was saying before, like people are just they just don't communicate with their staff. Like I'm very open with my staff. I'm available. Of course, we all have boundaries, but I'm available, and they don't have these communication channels open. So they don't have a Slack channel. They don't have like a board of like a Notion board or a Trello, or we use Monday, where like everybody knows like the daily tasks, what to do, or the communication channels of what to do every day. I think like that's just so important. Your staff needs to feel um, that they want, that you want to communicate with them, that there's always like you're open for questions, all of that. So,
Now, can that be managed through the EMR? Like I remember when I like this, back in the day when I worked with Shino, we had like task lists that we laid out for
Mhm.
ourselves in the EMR. Is that not robust enough to like really have true, global accountability within um, the staff?
I actually just learned you can do it in Lead AR.
You can, yeah. They have like a
Yes.
task management. They also have like a
Yeah.
pipeline tracker where you can
Yeah.
track stages of a project there as well.
Yeah, so I have somebody, she's a virtual assistant. So she does all our appointment bookings and she manages
Hmm.
our lead AR.
Yeah.
And so now I'm doing tasks like for her every day. So I think, and that's all in lead AR. So again, I don't have to have like 50 million platforms open.
Correct. I think that's what when people hear Notion and Monday and Trello and all that, they think, oh my God, like I can't handle another platform. So having it
No,
unified, especially if you're within the aesthetic record system,
or
having Lead AR
even,
so that
yeah,
you can manage that is huge.
or even in your Google Drive.
Hmm.
Even like in your Google, just start a simple Google Doc for now, and then you're in your Google Drive, and like what is, again, you'd be surprised. So many people don't know, um, like they don't have it spelled out for like how to open,
Yeah.
how to close, how to like a sales funnel, things like that. I
Hmm.
mean, what to do, like there's so much content to be done. Um, just so fun things too, the downtime. Like I hear it all the time. People complaining like July is slow, and I'm like, I don't think it's slow. I think July is still great. But if you are slow, what is going to make you the most money? And that's when I would double down on your systems, your marketing, things like that, and start
Yeah.
filming content. And like again, like what do your staff want to do during the downtime? Asking that.
Hmm. Yeah, rather than them twiddling their thumbs or not having something to get done for the long term. It's a great
Yeah.
have you read Traction by Gino Wickman?
Yes. Yes,
So
I
he talks
am.
about having like those rocks, having those like quarterly projects that each individual is responsible for working on.
Mhm.
I think that's a huge thing that clinics could implement. Just knowing like, okay, great, front desk, you have your day to day,
Mhm.
but over the long term, I want you working on this document that we're going to be building. It's a course for all future front desk staff or something like that. Whatever it is, you have some sort of a long term project that's due, months at a time, not necessarily days at a time, where it's the
Or
emergency mode.
or I think about education. I think about, again, like I was an employee, and the they can get so overwhelmed, and
Yeah,
there is so many SKUs for retail. There is so many services. There's something new coming out every single day. So how
yeah,
about the education, or about these um again, like these, like say like a retail brand like Skin Better or Environ, like there are so many new SKUs coming out, or information, or webinars and stuff like that. Is somebody in charge of all that? Can you like break that down into
mm,
a little bit better for them every week? There's just so much to do.
yeah, yeah, and having I agree, having some bite-sized versions of tasks so that ultimately we can get to that endpoint. And if you're the owner, you have to see that future vision. Like
Mhm.
I can't tell you how often I'll get stuck in the day to day of like, oh my gosh, I got to do another thing. I got to help my team. I got to do this, and I'll get stuck and I'll get bogged down, and I'll be like, what are we doing, Jared? Like, your job is to build momentum in the team, And so if there's day to day tasks that are getting in the way of that, we need to figure out how to build stronger systems so that I can get back to building momentum. So
Do you schedule it on your calendar? Like I have to have it scheduled, like we just said about content shoots and things like that. I have to have it like scheduled on my calendar, or else sometimes if I have like a chunk of time, like, and I have so much to do, like you just sometimes get paralyzed. So
yeah,
I need it scheduled.
I itemize my next most important tasks, so I
Yeah.
know like what my next big rock is that I have to do, and then I'll have blocks on my schedule
Yeah.
to do certain things. Sometimes my assistant, God bless her, Tony is like she'll block out like an hour and a half to film social media content, and during that time there will be something else that I'm like, but this is more important. If I get this done, it's important for the client, it's important for me, it's important for our business. And then I'll shirk the thing that Tony put on my calendar that I asked Tony to put there, by the way. And the following morning, she's like, "Oh, did you get your content filmed?" I'm like, "I did not. Can you put it again onto my calendar tonight?" So blocks for me personally don't always work perfectly. It's good for reminding, but I like having just a good list of knowing, okay, here's my next most important priorities. And then I can just like visualize that and then dive in on what that thing is. Maybe time blocks would help me, but I,
Oh, I
I,
like Tumblr.
I feel like I like fight them often. I'll fight if I feel like if I'm being told what to do by my calendar, I'm like, no, I'm going to do this instead. So I bet there's people who resonate with that. At least I hope, or maybe I'm crazy.
No,
Um,
I think too. I think so many, don't you think so many business, I mean, you hear this all the time. They're like working like in the business and not on the business, and
yes.
trying to take them out of practicing. And I'm like, you don't understand. Like it will pay off. You will see the
Yeah.
ROI if you maybe take one day a week and just focus on, again, like we said, like networking, business development, looking at your numbers, looking at your sales, that big
Yeah.
overall picture of what they're trying to do.
Y- yes. And I think it's them knowing what those things are. Like they need to
Yes.
know what those better tasks are for themselves, because most business owners, the reason they're spinning their tires in the mud is they
Mhm.
just don't really know what those KPIs are to grow. They don't know what numbers they should be tracking for themselves. And so they kind of just find themselves floating. And working with somebody like you who can very clearly articulate and identify the right KPIs for a business to win is giant. As a
I
clinic owner,
think.
like how can you be expected to know these things? You didn't go to
Well,
med spa school, you know?
I think like you said, working with Maven, or I work with LaQuarrie here, and I have
I
another
love them.
Yeah,
I
I
love
love
them.
them. I love them. And then I have another, her name is Donna. I work with her. She checks and balances. She's amazing. But working with them to actually know and kind of compare yourself too about
Yeah,
where are those numbers and where are you in the
yeah,
industry? And then
yeah.
what are your goals for those like those months? And then try to reverse engineer that.
Yeah, that's yeah. And I think but yeah, working with your trusted advisors that know the industry. Like I think the
Yeah.
biggest question I get when I'm on calls with our clients is they're like, "Jared, what's the rest of the industry looking like right now?" I'm like, "I'll tell you. Here's what the averages are looking like." And there's so much more weight when I'll look over somebody's website numbers for the month and I'll say, "I'll tell you what, you are crushing the odds this month. Everybody else's traffic, they've seen a 10% dip this month because of this, and this. You are soaring past that." Or whatever. So there's a lot more weight because we work with so many clinics across the country. We have a pulse on how America is doing in the aesthetic medicine industry, just like yourself. And so ensuring that uh, whoever you guys are trusting out there, you listeners, whoever you're trusting enter your business, make sure you just heed that advice so that you know what numbers are important for you to track. I cannot stress that enough. I totally agree with you. The biggest don't or the biggest do is know your numbers and know the right numbers. You need to know what number grows you here. Great. If that's growing, then what number grows you in this sector? Great. If that's growing, then what number grows you in this sector? You have to have like a little if-then chart for yourself of knowing what KPIs matter. Yeah.
Yeah, I just
Well,
don't. My notes here were in big bold. Don't skip financial planning. Just in
no,
general, yeah.
no.
And just so many people, I think, or they don't make the time for it. So they have to make the
Yeah.
time. Mhm.
Yeah, I think I was gonna wrap up and say, what's the one thing that we should tell everybody to do? But I think it's very clear.
It's-
Track your numbers and have a financial plan in
Or
place.
I recently heard this too, and I thought this was a great idea. And I like the transparency around the numbers. Is you could start having your staff track their own numbers.
Yeah, it's
And like
huge.
every day, and like they could track their retail numbers, their service numbers, their, their ratios
Yeah.
to like their like the books, and whether like they have open spaces or not. And I think that would be huge. It's such an
Hmm.
eye opener for the
Yeah.
staff, being like maybe the staff thinks that they're doing this one way, but they're really doing this way. And I don't know. And then it's less awkward when you have those like, meetings then.
Accountability is way more clear when they're already
Yeah.
seeing the numbers they're being judged by. It's like, yeah,
Yeah.
like it's like, hey, John, how do we let's have a conversation about your sales. It's like, I know, or it's, hey, John, let's have a conversation about your sales. And you're like, I know, like, so you're giving me a bonus this month. Clearly I'm doing good. I
And
agree.
that's
I think
such a good
it's a
feeling.
when you know you're winning, and it's a
Yeah,
recipe for
yeah.
burnout if you don't. I have a clinic that we work with that they had no strategy for follow-ups. That was the problem, is we were sending them good leads, they were getting decent leads, but like they had terrible conversion rate of lead to appointment. And I said, how are you tracking it? They're like, we
Post
didn't
it.
know we didn't know we could. Yeah, post-its. We didn't know we could track it.
Yeah.
And I said, okay, let me get you guys into our CRM, and let me get you into like Lead AR, and let me get you guys to track your actual conversion rate from stage to stage, and just giving their front desk a clear goal line and a clear mile marker, they went from converting something around 30%, 35% of leads into appointments to now I think they're at 70. Just by looking at the number, just by the front desk being like, oh, clearly what I'm doing is not working. Now their whole job is gamified. They know if I am generally, this is from a stat from Line, but Line had said on average, new leads should convert at 55% or higher is what Line says. So I have also seen that number where in general, if people are above the 50% mark for lead conversion to appointment, it feels like those clinics are in a good space. And now that front desk person knows I have to keep this number above here. And if there's a problem with that, then I need to think through, okay, how am I talking to them? How am I, and all of a sudden they're self-auditing and they know what they're being held accountable to. Oh my gosh, it's been fireworks for them. It's been fireworks for them.
I was gonna say that's so great, because then that's what I would say. I was like, okay, how is my tone? How is my voice?
Yeah.
Maybe I'm not saying the right things. Maybe I could say it better. Can I do like a staff training with it, a sales training, or like
Yeah.
talking to each other? I think that's so important.
I completely agree.
Don't you think people get stuck in the weeds? I heard this a long time ago and I thought it was so bad, so awful. Is somebody just said, "Oh, we've always done it this way." And there's just
oh my gosh. Well, that's just how we've always done it. It's like, well, you've been miserable the whole time. So do you want to keep doing it that way? What are we doing here?
or just like more like, again, like you just said, like your CRM. Now we have lead AR. There's so many, you have to be open to so
Yeah.
many new ways of doing things,
Yeah. It's the innovators that I see winning. The ones that are like, yeah, I'll
Yes.
try that.
Yeah.
I see them winning. And it was being innovative in the first place that typically made your business grow. Like that's why we see Apple stagnating. That's why we see Disney struggling. It's because their innovators, their leaders have been replaced by status quoers, have been replaced by people that are just trying to make everyone happy, where they had innovators before that were winning. And now everyone's like, oh, this isn't that great. This new launch isn't that, it's not groundbreaking anymore. And, when business owners understand that the thing that made them win, they can't lose that as they scale. They definitely can't just try to do the same thing over and over and over and over again. It'll kill them.
Are you, can I ask you a question? Are you
Yeah.
seeing clinics incorporate tons of AI?
I'm seeing clinics use it. Yes, I'm seeing people use it
Okay.
for charting. I'm seeing them
Okay.
use it for. I'm not seeing tons of people do it, by the way.
Yeah.
I'm seeing innovators use it for charting. I'm seeing people try to use it for communication outbound. I am not a fan personally of outbound communication with AI. It's too dumb. And maybe I don't know. I don't know if we get flack for this. AI is
No.
glorified autocomplete. It's just guessing what the next best word is going to be that you're going to like. It is not real intelligence yet. It is not actually contextualizing and reasoning. There are reasoning models being built, but they are not active. So right now, all it's doing is saying, I think this is the next sentence that you're going to like. And it's getting really good, but that's all it is. So I'm not a fan of it being forward facing. But I do love AI documenting. I do love AI charting. I love AI. You throw a giant Excel sheet of numbers for you into ChatGPT. It can analyze it for you, and it can say,
Yeah.
"Hey, here's what I'm seeing. Here's your trends." You can throw your books for the year in there, and ChatGPT can give you some thoughts on that. So I think it can be a great supplement for writing, for sure.
Yeah.
So I am seeing a lot of people use it. Most people currently use it for writing.
Yeah, I know, and I agree, and I agree. It's not there yet for. I really hope people don't use it for the communication part yet. It's not
I
there
had
yet.
I had one that did. They had an AI that they were training, and they said, "Oh yeah, we want that." There's only one AI that I actually think is trained pretty stinking well, and it's Avery from Podium. Avery from
Okay.
Podium. That AI is here, and here's why. We had a client who was using Podium. I filled out a form on their site just to test the form submission, and I got a text right away from Avery. Hi, this is Avery with such and such a med spa. I saw that you filled out our form. We'd love to get, when works best for you to come in. And I said, hey, Avery, I'm just the web guy testing out forms. You can disregard. And then I filled out another form that same clinic later that week. Avery said, hey, Jared, still testing out forms? And I said, shut up. That is so good. So that's probably the only one that I'm like, that could probably be client facing, and I would be comfortable with it. However, I had another client who trained in AI, and they were based in Chicago, and they trained this thing they probably took 15 hours to train this thing. They put so much sweat into this. They launched it live. They were based in Chicago. They caught, after the first day, a handful of leads were having conversations with the chatbot online. And they would say, hey, where are you guys located? And the chatbot would say, we're in Tacoma, Washington. And then the person would say, oh, bummer, I'm in Chicago, I would like to see you. And then the AI doubled down and said, oh, well, if you're ever in the Chicago area, look us up. And I'm like, oh my God, clinic. And I said the same thing to the clinic. I said, I don't know if this is a good idea. I don't love AI being forward facing. They said, we want to try it. I said, perfect. You're the one approving it then. And sure enough, day one, they were like, shut it down. We don't want this. Get this out of here. Because they think it saves time, but it just ruins relationship. It's not saving what time, Saving
I
what?
know. I know. And I just wish again, hopefully we can get there. But like what we said before, why just have one person and
Yeah.
his job is to make all these phone calls. Why can't we just start with that?
Just have a person do it. It's going to be
Yeah.
way more profitable for you. They're going to build a real relationship with a real
Yeah.
person. Yeah, I
Yeah.
completely agree.
It kind of goes back to, so one of my first hires, you talked about your assistant. One of my first hire was my executive assistant, and she's amazing. But my second hire, I really needed somebody who knew the business,
Yeah.
and so I hired an old coworker of mine who was in the trenches with me. Was was an esthetician. Now is at home. She knew everything. She knew how to talk to these business owners. And so she
Hmm.
was like the forefront of these accounts, all of our accounts. And she knew the pain points of,
Yeah.
again, the bit like us, but also as an employee. So you hire somebody like her who could, and then who could speak to skin or could speak to these,
Yeah.
and she's a consumer too. So she's like, oh my God, I'm getting older. Like
Yeah.
I want this too,
Relational equity is going to be one of the biggest
Yeah.
currencies of the future anyway,
Yeah.
because the more and more AI we have, the more and more driven to real in-person connection people are going to have,
Yeah.
so like the phone calls, people are going to be like, oh my gosh, I'm talking to a real person. Like they're
Yeah.
going to be fired up to be talking to somebody that's not an AI chatbot.
I know.
Because
I
we'll
know.
just be sick of it. We'll be sick of it. We'll crave authenticity.
I love the automations with obviously like Lead AR and Go High Level, but I find myself sometimes like with texting sometimes being like, it is Laura.
Yeah, by the way, it's me. I'll
it
write
is
emails and
really
say that.
me.
I'll write a great email. I'll write an amazing email. And at the end, I'll be like, by the way, I wrote this whole thing. This is not AI. Because I have friends that'll send long emails and I'll look at it and be like, I know this is AI because you
Yeah,
sound
you can
so
tell.
crazy. Yeah, it just
Yeah.
doesn't sound like them, and every time I write, it sounds like me. Is it always perfect? No. Do I know how to spell panel correctly? No. I always put two N's, and I don't know how to stop. Do I know how to spell? Is my spelling always off? Maybe, but it sounds like me.
Yeah.
Um, but
Yeah, totally.
yeah. Well, this has been fantastic. I think there's tons of gold that people can get out of
Oh,
this.
good.
Now,
Good.
and I'm so grateful that you joined us today. Now, Laura, what's the best way for somebody to get in touch with you? What's the easiest way for them to get in touch with you?
They can go to laurajeannetteco.com. They can fill out our form. They can book with me. You can do a free consult with myself, or you can go to my Instagram, Laura Jeannette Co on Instagram.
Cool.
I love just to connect with, even if you're not, in the right state for business consulting. I'm a connector. I'm a networker. I love to introduce people,
Yeah.
too. So happy to meet you.
Yeah. What goes into that consult? What happens in that initial consult?
We usually have them fill out a questionnaire about like the health of their business and their biggest pain points. And they're usually biggest pain points we can tell about like retail or services, or again, connecting. Like somebody needs a Jared, somebody needs like, Mary, like a social media person. Like they need all these, people I love to connect. Maybe they don't need me right away, but maybe they can, or they need a CFO. I
Yeah.
love to do that and kind of do like a holistic view of what they need, and then we can kind of dive in from there.
Very cool. So
Mhm.
at the very least, you're at least if you do a consultation with laurajeannetteco.com, if you do a consultation with them, at the very least you're going to walk away knowing where you actually have a problem, and that's
Yeah.
enormous. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
enormous. Cool. Well, everybody, thank you so much for listening to the Patient Magnet podcast. Again, I am Jared Rohr with Aesthetic Conversion and a web agency focused on serving the field of medical aesthetics. And if you liked this episode or you hated it, if you disagreed with everything we said, throw a comment into Spotify. I would love to fight you in the comments. If you are enjoying this, please subscribe. It helps a ton. Okay. I know everybody always says subscribe, but please do. Okay. I know this is at the very end. I should have said it in the beginning, but subscribe here as well as YouTube. If you're watching over on YouTube, it just helps with our numbers to be able to get better exposure and to show more people this content. So Laura, thank you so much for joining us. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me. It was great.
Thanks everybody.